Okay, should be live. I don't know how to double check it. Let me just. Sorry, it's my first time going live in a bit, and don't look at that. Don't look at that. Also, I switched recently to Streamlabs. So not Streamlabs, OBS. Sorry, everyone. Um, so I'm kind of still getting used to. Okay, okay, so it is working. Okay. Sorry, yeah. Hi everyone. Sorry that took a bit. I'm recently switched over to OBS just because Streamlabs isn't really what it used to be in terms of um, recent drama and whatnot. So it's my first time kind of using it. That's why you're not seeing all like my banners and everything. Um, but I think I'm good now, so we'll get started. So yeah, hi everyone. I'm alive. I'm still kicking. I've just finished exams. It explains why. It's why I haven't been streaming so much or releasing any music. But I'll get onto that more in a bit. But yeah, I'm back. I'm gonna try and get back to the regular kind of twice a month stream schedule with DJ mixes and chilling with friends and whatnot. Um, I was going to do one for this month, but I'm doing a virtual concert for Peckham Studios, the studios I work with. Um, and I'm kind of practicing for that, and I'll link the video in my channel so you guys can go watch that when it goes live later on. But that's happening on Monday, so we're just practicing for that. But I thought I still wanted to get a stream done for December, just kind of keep a decent track record, and also just to give you guys an update what's going on in my life, why I haven't released any music this month, even though I promised I would, and also while we're at it, just do some. There you go. And also just do some mastering and mixing tips. Show you guys how I work through my songs. Not really. I would call it a tutorial, but I'm still at basic level, so it's just more just as a way to open your eyes to how I work per se. Before we get started, in terms of the music production side of the stream today, I'm only going to be showing my mixer, just because this song I do plan to release next year, and I don't want to leak anything. So you'll only be hearing snippets of the song, certain instruments that are isolated, so not the full thing, so that doesn't get leaked or legal reasons and whatnot. Um, but yes, I think I'll start off with an update. So as you guys know, I released my EP Crazy in October, 1st of October, and I kind of took a bit of a hiatus from releasing, doing mixes and whatnot for about 20 days afterwards or so. Did a stream late October, just before November, and I kind of said, I'm back now, but my timing was horrible because 1st of November I started studying for mocks, so I said, November and half of December I'm going to be off, but I'll be back in December to release some music. And I did my mocks, studied for them. I mean, I'm not going to say they went well, mocks are mocks, but it happened. I managed to get through them without jumping out of a window yet. And we're here, we're back. But no song. What's happened. And if some of you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen I would have talked about this and on my story, and you would have seen if you saw it. I made a post announcing a new song called Gypsy um, that I was planning to release in 7 days, in a week's time. But sadly, I got contacted by certain people at a certain record label um, who weren't a fan of the samples I'd used. Now, I've uploaded the song as a remix. It's not really a remix, but I have to call it that so I don't get labeled as I've put up as a bootleg remix on YouTube and SoundCloud. So that would have been the single I released this month, but because we got asked to take it down, I can't release it on Spotify and whatnot. But if you want to listen to that, if you just go down, I'll link it in the video somewhere, description or up top or wherever, or it'll be in it might be in the recommended thing over there, I think. Or if you just scroll down and just click my channel, it'll be in my recent uploads, and you can view it there. And you'll hear what sample I'm not going to say it, but you'll hear what sample I'm talking about. So yeah, unfortunately we couldn't release that song, and that was going to be the song I released for this month. I was going to come back with a new song. That's fallen through, and I'm now kind of rushing to get something done for you know, early January instead of what would have been a late January song, which is what I had originally planned, which is what I'm working on now, and obviously I'm gonna use an example for the producing stuff, and I'm gonna release at some point. But yeah, that's just an update. I do apologize. Like I said, I would have liked to release something just for December for you guys, and kind of get back into trying to keep consistent with uploads and everything. But it's kind of just all falling apart. I'll be honest. But yeah, so that's kind of the update side of it. If you've got any questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram or something like that. I know it kind of sucks, like I said, it's not ideal, but at the same time, I did avoid a lawsuit by taking down the track in the first place. But yeah, I can assure you that January we'll be back with releases, and then try and stick to every 2 months, try and get a song out once we're done with that, because I'm currently a project that doesn't even have a name yet, that is currently slowly being formed for sometime next year. That is also kind of taking up a bit of my time, but that's something for a bit later. Right, now that we're done with the personal side of it, let's get into the best part, the producing side. So I'm just going to skip to the chorus for this one, and spoilers ahead obviously if you are the kind of person who's going to wait for my releases and you don't want to hear kind of what the bass of the new release sounds like, just feel free to click off now. Don't torment yourself. So what I'm going to do is just isolate all of the bass instruments of the song, and just turn off all of the plugins that are tied to them, so EQs, whatever. So it's going to sound absolutely horrible, but this is what the true sound would have sounded like without plugins. These are all different serum patches that either I've got from packs or I've designed myself. So yeah, I'll play it for you, and like you'll hear them. So this is it's 1, 2, 3, 4, about give or take 7 different serum layers, all playing on top of each other. Some side chains, some not. So like I said, I think best I'll just play it through. You guys have a listen, and I'll explain each layer, and then from there I'll just show how I kind of worked with plugins to make them all kind of fit in together. So just all together, no plugins, no processing. They sound like this. Now, that doesn't sound bad necessarily, but you can tell there's some parts where it's distorting, some parts where things aren't really working together, and I've got a ozone on, because like I said, I'm rushing because of this, I want to get the track out soon. I've got an ozone on that is currently doing some mastering, so I'll just take that off, and then, so literally with nothing, same sound really, but, so I mean, they work together. It kind of makes sense in the grand scheme of things, but if you're going to add in I'm not going to play the drums, because like I said, I want to try and keep this at some part secret, but if you add in drums, it's going to get messy. So the first kind of basic thing I did is add in a sidechain, so you can hear it, for example, in the sub bass over here. So right there, that's just sub by itself, and then you add in, I'm just going to enable the plugins and just go through them one by one. You just add in basic EQ. I use I use EQs for sidechaining. I like to do it just by especially for the more bassy stuff. Just gives me more control over what frequencies to get taken out. I know there are plugins that you can use to sidechain. I just prefer to rather use an EQ, or sometimes even a volume knob, just a lot more clean. So with the sub with the sidechain sounds like this. So at the same time, I did also, I'll just bring them all up here. Sorry, I've got to detach it first. So that's it. That's just a basic monitoring EQ. I think this one is another monitor, and then I think this one's the sidechain EQ. I use a lot. I put at least 4 or 5 EQs on each track. I use one for monitoring, just to see where the frequencies are landing after I'm done processing. One just to clean up highs and mids. One for taking out annoying frequencies, and this one I obviously use for sidechaining. So let's like a just simple automating the frequency knob over here, just to start at the bottom when the kick's dropping. As the kick fades away, you get more into the tail. It slides up again, so let the low end come back. So that's the sub sorted. I've also made it mono with the stereo enhancer. Very important, I would suggest to everybody, if you're with sub basses, always make them mono. Anything with a lot of low end, barring your kicks, always make mono. Try and make them as thin as possible. So I've used a relay. A relay basically is it's a really great plugin. Basically just allows you to widen and kind of expand the sound, kind of like Wider. And I think you guys know how much I love Wider, especially if you listen to some of my more recent tracks. The relay kind of lets you shrink it and mononize it, and the Wider lets you sterilize it a bit more. So I added a relay and enhancer, and these just kind of, like I said, these kind of just blend everything together. So it might be hard to hear if you're not wearing producer headphones like these ones. You might even notice a difference, but in the grand scheme of things, it makes a bit more sense. And then there's just OTT, a compressor, keep everything down past a certain level, distorter to add a bit more flavor, and a blunt overdrive. Really dirty kind of distorted bass, and to think it came from this, which is a lovely sub bass. But I said I'm a big fan of distortion, and that distortion definitely gives the song, and when you hear the song, you see what I mean, gives that song more of a kind of bass house vibe rather than just a UK bassline one. So I'll just put in the kick just so you can hear what I mean. The kick itself has got a lot of low end, and that usually is not the best, but if you sidechain the sub correctly so that they don't interrupt each other at all, your kick can be nice and punchy, nice and deep, but at the same time the sub is still working as a sub to elevate those high frequencies. I'm just going to focus now. There's a bunch of complementary kind of basses that I'll go through, but I was going to highlight the two kind of lead basses that you hear the most, which is the pluck and the wave bass. So this is no plugins, no sidechains whatsoever. This is how they sound like together. So really nice sound. The pluck by itself. Basic FM pluck, also with a bit really great sound. Actually, I think it's the original patch that I worked on from an excellent sound pack that I just messed around with the distortion. Really great sound. I absolutely love it. Like it's not so much a stereotypical bassline sound. It can still be counted as house, but it's still got that kind of that dirty feeling. And then the wave bass just adds this extra kind of texture around it. Or with plugins, it does. That kind of make you focus on it a bit more, makes it a bit more, it gives it more of that bassline kind of feel, with a sine wave and whatnot, which is just, for me, it kind of complements the pluck really well. It's nice, I like the ear candy it kind of does when I make the patch. It does these kind of ear candies when notes overlay each other. Really great. So then, yeah, those two combined, I'll just enable the plugins again and just go through each one. So on the pluck, I put a relay on, this time just to widen the sound a bit, because I find with your kind of mid-end instruments and some of your, a little bit of the top end, not too much of the top end, your mid-end instruments, you want to make them nice and wide, let them be separated from the bass, but at the same time, kind of make them loud enough with the wideness so that they can compete a bit with the top. It's not so much when they're distorting, but for headphones like just normal day headphones that usually scoop the mids, you can still hear them nice and freshly. So yeah, the pluck is without anything. It sounds like this. Basically, just added in a relay, EQ for monitoring, and OTT. Kind of caps off the top end a bit, but because we got that wave bass, which is adding that extra texture, it kind of the top end and the wave bass were kind of competing. So if you cut off the top end a bit, you'll see what I mean. When I play you the full bass just now, it sounds a lot better with the top end cut off. Another reverb that's mostly for effects. Another OTT. These are ones over here. You'll see some of the plugins have kind of the circles on the end. Some of them are white, some of them are grey. The ones that are grey are not being used right now, but I've automated them to come on. So for example, in the build-up, you're here in the song, in the build-up there's a reverb that's on it, there's an endless smile that's on it, that kind of helps it build up, and then when the drop comes, it alters the bass so that it comes more freshly. So so some of these plugins are off right now, so they're still being used obviously. And there's a compressor, a balance, and an EQ. So all in all, it sounds like this. You can hear that sidechain as well. You sidechain everything, guys, especially in house music. You gotta sidechain everything. So yeah, that one is a pretty decent little effects rack. Also mess with the EQs a bit, basically just taking out any of the harsh frequencies. So yeah, that itself is sounding really good. Like I said, the top end coming off, some people might not like it. For me personally, I think it opens up the wave bass to do its thing a little more. So yeah, this is widened only slightly though, so not a lot. It's important to remember which layers are kind of thin, which are widened, and which are like massive. So this that relay, that pluck is kind of not so much. It's not normal, but it's a little bit wider, just so it can separate from the bass. And then onto the wave bass, I'll just disable all the plugins for this one as well. So I just go through them. So no plugins and a bit of low end cut, sounds like this. Just skip to the part where when I played the original bass, especially with that top end, the pluck and the wave bass, especially if you add in the context of drums and claps and you know, other layers of bass, they were kind of competing a bit. So what I did is I took out the top end of that pluck that we just played earlier, and I made this one nice and wide, so it kind of almost wraps around, so that you hear that the almost, because the envelope for this, because it's a wave, it's kind of, so I can just bring up the serum patch for you. Because the envelope itself isn't as elongated, or it ends a lot quicker than the pluck, it kind of textures the pluck as it slides down. Okay, so let me grab it quickly. Here you go, it's this one. So this one, you see the envelope over here is really, it comes up and then it starts immediately going down again. So it gives that wave kind of texture almost. Whereas, you know, if you were to do this, then it sounds like a pluck. Right, so you definitely want that that kind of that rise and then fall. So then that basically all I did to that is added a compressor, always EQ, I think for the side channel, that should be the next EQ. The relay to, like I said, this one will this relay opens up nicely, so it kind of wraps around the pluck. I think you should be able to hear that on all types of headphones. So without the widening, with the widener. So it sounds a bit louder and it sounds a bit more concurrent, you know, throughout all kind of stereo stages of your headphones. 3D balanced, a bit of intensity, another wider EQ, and then a balance, and altogether this sounds like this. Really nice and wide, and it kind of gives it gives the effect. It's got a flanger effect on it, which I think also really helps with the sound. But nice and wide. So then those two together with all their plugins, their wideners, their side chains, they sound like this. So if I just take all the plugins off again, we play the two dry basses by each other. So really unnecessary low, they're kind of fighting for the tops, and the low end just is unnecessary. You put all the plugins on, process it, and then together again sound like this. Everything is kind of, it's a bit hard to hear if you don't know what to look for, but basically everything is just a lot more defined. You know, they each have their own space to kind of relay what they're doing, because they're both in the mid-top section of the frequency chart. You know, the stereo space just allows, you know, them to operate in their different areas without having to fight for space in the speakers, which really helps with distortion, especially because the song relies heavily on kind of, you know, purposeful distortion. I don't want any accidental distortion, it'll sound horrible. So yeah, that with the sub together, they with all the plugins and everything, they sound like this. You know, and I'll add in the kick so you can get an idea for rhythm. so them themselves are sounding really good. But even when you add in the drums itself, it sounds a bit empty. So add in here a few more layers. I'm just gonna enable the plugins again because it's there's not a lot of action on the layers really. It's just basic you know, EQing and whatnot. So the first kind of probably the most noticeable layer is one that complements the sub bass actually, which is this crunchy bass. Again, just a basic sidechain and a relay to squash it down into mono. And basically what this does is because the sub bass itself, although it is quite distorted compared to the original, it's not kind of crackling on that top end. When I want distortion, I want the mids to be, you know, rough and ready, but I want the tops to be crackling and sparkling, and making those ear candies. So it kind of caps off on that top end, which is what you want for a sub. At the same time, that kind of crunchiness, as like the toastiness as I call it, also helps to bring the mix together and just a flavor that I want. So I add in basically my version that I made to kind of replace that top end that I can control a bit, which is nice because when you have distortion, especially from distortion that you didn't necessarily make on purpose, it's hard to control. Frequencies might overlap, so I would suggest whenever you're making a sub bass and you want to add a little bit of toastiness, just make your own toastiness. They're pretty easy to make. I think it's just I have to double check, but I think it's if I'm not wrong, is it this one? Yeah, it's this is from a rev pack that I basically just messed around with. It's like a saw wave plus a sine wave, and then you just distort it a bit. Literally, like it's a very simple patch here. Like I said, sine wave, saw wave, FM it a bit, distortion. Just to hit when the sub does, and together they sound like this. Adds a bit more flavor. It just sounds a lot nicer. The second layer is this kind of almost washed out Reese. Doesn't really hold that much power in terms of lower end. It just kind of complements the you know, the distortion of the crunchy bass and the sub in a more kind of top end frequency chart, which helps you know, like I said, bring the track more together. Just, you know, distorting a track together with crunch bass just fills out those empty frequencies, so the track sounds nice and full. And the last one kind of follows the same thing of trying to make it sound full. It's a preset from a Moonboy pack. Actually, really great pack, that Bass House, Moonboy Bass House pack. Would recommend getting that if you can. And it's a originally supposed to be like a night bass almost inspired kick. If you guys have heard Wax Motive's Fly Kicks, the remix of AC Slater and Chris Lorenzo, you'll know what I mean. I'll just play the sound quickly. So I mean, it sounds basic, but you know, it's kind of more of a night bass preset that basically I just widened out a lot, took rid of all that kind of mid entrance and just kept it so that it basically just filled out those wide ends that the leads couldn't get to. So again, make it sound like, make the chorus sound packed full of bass but not distorting at the same time, which is this sound. Again, really hard to kind of mess around with or hear even. It does add a nice little thing to the rest of the bass. So all the basses together for this chorus sound like this. So I mean, just with all the processing, the wave bass is kind of working as the lead, doing its own thing. It's not really following. It is following the note pattern of the rest of the progression of the rest of the chorus, but it's doing its own thing. It's making itself different from the others, and the sub and the main pluck not so much blending into one, but they kind of becoming just this coherent kind of sound that's coming through. It's complementing the wave bass. So to me, it sounds really great. I think it's a good mixture of house and bass line, and yeah, I'm gonna be really happy when we get this released. And obviously I've added on a bit of mastering that I'm currently doing, so with that, basically with all the processing, sounds like this. play any of that part yet. And yeah, in terms of automations, like I said, I don't really want to show you guys, not because I don't trust, I just don't want to risk the chance that I don't want to really show you the arrangement pool. But in terms of automations, like I said, there's just side chains for every bass. There's either a mid or a low or a high side chain working with the kicks. And there's also a bit of a, on the Reese, there's a reverb automation on the higher notes. Hard to hear because the Reese is kind of all-knowing, but it helps a lot. But yeah, so that's kind of that's what you can expect for one in the main thing. But that's how I like to kind of work with my basses. Make everything either mono or stereo, give them the most stereo field, and try not to crowd everything on the same frequency chart. And yeah, kind of use distortion to your good. If I can give 3 tips, is give them their own space. Distortion is not necessarily always a bad thing, and it's okay if some things blend together or don't blend together, because one, that distortion will help fill that out. So it's not a great way to mix and master. I mean, I won't lie, it does have its perks and downsides, and I'm sure there are much better ways on this website that you can find to start kind of differentiating the bass patterns that you have, and make them kind of stand out to each other. But this is the way I do it. I've been doing it for about 3 months now, ever since the EP came out. I'm interested to see how it sounds in the final product. Well, I mean, I know how it sounds. That's for you guys to find out. But yeah, like I said, once the track is out, I might do a breakdown, kind of further going through. If you guys want me to, I'll just do it. It'd be good to get show you guys how long it takes to make these tracks. But yeah, so hopefully this track will be out in January, so you can look forward to that. But for now, please make sure to go down, have a listen to that Gypsy, that remix that I did called Gypsy. I mean, even though it's not an official track, I know you guys are really, I'm so grateful that you guys are so supportive of my stuff, and I'm sure you're going to like it. It's a bit more of a tech house kind of vibe from me, which is the first time I've done something like that. So go have a listen to that if you're feeling up for it. And DJs out there, if you're listening to this, you're welcome to, because there is a link there for it, get a free download of that remix. And because, I mean, there's going to be no way I can make money off it, it's a free download. Use it in gigs, use it in your mixes. I've tested it on YouTube. It won't get copyright, even though there's some dodgy samples in there. It won't get copywritten, so you're welcome to use it in streams, background music, Christmas parties, whatever. But yeah, I think that's it for me for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching this live stream. It's kind of more of a video because not a lot of people watch my live streams live. Obviously, I can't see the chat right now because I'm still getting used to OBS. So if somebody has talked in chat, I apologize. I can't see you right now. I don't know what's happening. I need to work with OBS a bit. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I promise I will be back in the new year. January, I've got a bit of the first bit of January I've got off. I might be seeing friends and whatnot, but I'll try and make place for a stream or something like that. But up until then, like I said, make sure to stream the new Gypsy remix on SoundCloud and YouTube. Look out for my exclusive concert mix I'll be doing on Monday for Peckham Studios. I will make sure to share that video on Instagram so you guys can watch it. And yeah, try and see if you can apply these techniques I've shown you today into your tracks. Let me know if it works, let me know if it doesn't. Like I said, this is more kind of for the bass house, bassline kind of genre that I'm really into. But I mean, it could work for trance. I don't know, I'm just guessing. But thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Positive Con. I'll see you soon.